Welcome back to the Go Show. This is your weekly dose of cryptocurrency using my stories for your investment. Once again, I am Albert Go of the Go Show. Today, I asked the question, is it risky to invest in cryptocurrency? Yes. But why did I start a validator in the Coreum blockchain? It is because of my foundations. And this is our topic for today. Episode 7 is about foundations. 3 topics that I will discuss today. First is about saying no. Second is no excuses. And third is about never giving up. Let me start with a story. I studied in all-boys school, LaSalle Green Hills. That's why I'm wearing green. Shout out sa mga taga LaSalle Green Hills, mga LaSallians. I studied there since I was very young in grade school all the way to the end of high school. But one thing that I noticed as a child is that many of us are bombarded every day with so much peer pressure and so much temptations coming from friends in the school. I remember correctly that most, if not many, of my classmates would be smoking cigarettes or joining fraternities. But I was one person that, despite all the pressure, even with my group of friends, they would always pressure many of us to fit in, or it could be innate in some of my friends to actually succumb and also be smoking cigarettes because they don't want to be different. They want to be part of that clique or part of that club or group of friends. I was one person who would always have the foundations of saying no and resisting. And one thing that I learned is that saying no takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of strength in character for you to be able to resist all the temptations, all the peer pressure. But in my experience, by saying no, it allowed me to have the freedom, the time to focus on what I want to do. And that has made me build strong foundations in myself. How about you? Do you say no? And over time, I was able to build my reputation. When all my friends would know, Albert, okay, we won't be able to invite Albert to go in a club and go drinking and partying. He's there studying in the library, reading his books, but he's still, Albert, and he's true to himself. One principle that I have is I would always say yes to the things that make sense and no to the things that do not make sense. An example would be I know that smoking would be bad for your health and it did not make sense to me. What makes sense to me, example would be sell CDs of music to my friends. And even until now, I have friends that always tell me, Albert, you're so entrepreneurial at that time because you had the ability to think and sell CDs of music. I would ask them to write it down on a piece of paper. Give me 16 songs. And they would put all these like NSYNC, Superman, or Backstreet Boys, and Puff Daddy, and all these 90s top 40 Billboard, and I would put it on CD and sell it for $8, but the one CD is just 50 cents, But they know that Albert is the go-to guy when it comes to CDs. That's one example that by saying no and focusing on this one, it allowed me to learn how to make money, and at the same time, it helped me build my skill of being able to sell and woo people into my sideline business at that time. As part of building my foundations, when you think of going out and partying and drinking and smoking and vaping, my name is never on that list. But if you think of, let's say, public speaking and inspiring and talking about the future of the financial system and investments in crypto or the Go and Partners Validator, my name will be at the top of the list. All right? That's why you're watching this. Are you one of those people that was invited for a business meeting and then later on you learn that it's a multi-level marketing campaign for a series of products? While I don't discount the legitimacy of multi-level marketing as a strategy for business, we also need to accept that many people have fallen or have succumbed for these Ponzi schemes and pyramiding schemes. Disguised as multi-level marketing. A chief example of this are these investment schemes disguised as cryptocurrencies or stock market investments where migrant workers who have spent so much time and effort to raise, to increase their deposits in the bank were given crazy promises of doubling, tripling, quadrupling their interest by placing it in these investments. And one thing that I learned about this is that if you study and you're able to actually build your foundations, there are two things. One is you have to learn to say no. Even if that person who actually tries to convince you sounds very, very appealing, it's one trait a lot of us, especially Filipinos, we're yes people. We always say yes. We don't want to hurt other people. But you don't know that this is actually the technique that these Ponzi schemes and these scrupulous people are using to actually victimize us. So learning to say no, it's not about not fitting into a crowd. It's also about protecting yourself from these investment scams. And it goes back to risk management. If it's too good to be true, then you have to double, triple, quadruple check it. Now, for legitimate multi-level marketing businesses, which there are many, I also have decided to say no in most of them. And it's also because I want to have my time and energy focused on what my mission has always been, which is to give back to the people. And also, it's about me starting my company and also having a lot of control over shaping the lives of people and also impacting more people in the future. So the lesson here is practicing to say no gave me the time, the energy, and has also built my solid reputation. The second lesson in building foundations is no excuses. And I will explain it in 1, 3, and 5. 1 is 1 Minute Manager. The Secret to No Excuses. That was a very influential book early in my career back when I was 26 years old. When I moved to Singapore, my very first job, I read that book, 1 Minute Manager, The Secret to No Excuses. And it talks about the constraints that young people have, knowing that if you're, example, a fresh graduate, you would think that there are limitations to your abilities to execute and deliver in the office setting. But what I realize is that by understanding that book, that even though you could be 26 years old, you can actually act and behave like the leader, the director, the senior manager inside that company. In fact, the learning there is that by creating these titles and positions in the company, it can actually develop a self-limiting attitude and mindset coming from the employee. While there are benefits of having hierarchy in any office setting, you know for a fact that even though you are a junior executive, you can actually still deliver and exceed expectations and even surprise your bosses because you did not limit your potential. In my experience, when I was 26, I was doing so many things in the office is because I had that mindset that even though I started as a junior executive, I am already behaving and acting like a director. And within a few years, I was able to move up and become the head of the department. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I just kept myself in a cookie cutter world and box that I'm a lowly junior executive. So while this is the main takeaway for me, to have no excuses even as a young junior executive to execute and deliver and not make any of the preconceived notions slow you down, it's important for us to understand some of the key takeaways from The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. And he talks about three things. Is one, setting clear goals. Secondly, is while you implement these goals, it's important to also have your regular performance review. So for you to have your rapport with your HR, your direct supervisor, for them to also, thirdly, give you feedback and also reprimand or redirect you to the right frame of mind. Because a lot of these employees, if you have a manager telling you what you have not done well, they also need to redirect you in the area that they know you would be able to perform. And having very good rapport with your HR and your supervisor is actually very critical for you as a young person to build, again, the foundations. And if you're able to build the foundations as a young person by becoming a good listener, learner, and also becoming a sponge, I would say. Because I think most people, even at a young age, those who really go up have a lot of energy, but at the same time, they also have a lot of humility. They learn by not being arrogant that they know everything. I know how to do this. I want to be the VP. I want to be the top of the world. But no, what's important is not, remember, it's not the title. It's not the position. It's about your foundations. And that is my main takeaway there. Next is the power of three. Why three? So in most pitch competitions, even in Bimengo or in the startup world, or even when I was a student pitching in the university, our professors always told us and taught us in integrated marketing communications to focus on three main ideas, because you don't really have the stage time to actually pitch for 30 minutes or an hour. You're not like the main keynote speaker. But if you're only given like 5 minutes, usually you talk about three main ideas. I think it's also about the attention span of your audience. If you're talking about too many points, the chances of them recalling what you want to talk about are diminished and your main ideas can get lost along the way. But if you focus and put your key ideas in three main subject matters, just like how we're doing it in this episode, right? No excuses, saying no, and never giving up. It's easier for everybody to remember. So in this no excuses, first we talk about the 1 minute manager. Second is the power of three. And next, I talk about the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is actually very simple. When you're presented with options or an idea or something that you want to do, let's say I want to work out, but then you also think about, I want to watch Netflix or I need to eat. So if you end up overthinking, you waste so much of your time. And time is gold. Time is money. Time has value in it. So if you place a 5-second rule and it stumbled upon your mind is, I want to work out within 5 seconds, you already start pushing up and pulling up. And I think that saves your time. It eliminates analysis paralysis. It eliminates laziness and procrastination. And I think procrastination, laziness, overthinking could also be detrimental to building yourself and becoming more efficient as a person. Thirdly is never giving up. So we start with 3 words. First is never, second is giving, and third is up. Let's start with never. You will never fail if you don't stop. Let me tell you a story of the turtle and the rabbit. The lesson there is slow and steady wins the race. I have a different take on this. For the rabbit, he was competing against the turtle. Now, For the turtle, I believe the turtle was competing only against himself. The turtle knows that he is slow, but he did not stop. The second word is giving. And my mission has always been about giving back to the communities. It's about building, throughout my childhood, throughout my time as a student council external vice president, I've always been passionate about giving back to my friends, sharing what I learned in school, what I read. I wanted to help tutor and help those who are in need so that they can also have high grades in school. So I always have this feeling in me that if my friends win, I would also win. If I win, even as a competitive person, I get like the highest grades. It wouldn't matter if all my classmates would fail and would struggle. It would just evoke that sense of me being elite or me being selfish because I didn't share what I learned, and I didn't like that feeling. I feel that in this world that we live in, it's important for us to win as one and to have that team spirit that if I win, the community wins, the society wins, everyone wins. So I developed that spirit in the university and later on in my career. I saw that even with Beam and Go. When I was leading over 20 people in Beam and Go, I always wanted everyone to feel empowered that their decisions contributed to the success of Beam and Go. And that's where the energy could be infectious, and that's where we build a strong foundation in Beam and Go, where we started 2015, 0 users all the way to now 200,000. And I believe that could only be done not because I was so good as a CEO, it's because I was able to lift everybody up, and that is how we were able to succeed, and that is how I intend to do it also with the Go and Partners Validator. When I discovered Coreum, there's so many cryptocurrencies, tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies. I myself was a victim of pumps and dumps in the bull cycle and the bear markets. I learned from it, but my learning from it is not meant to be kept for myself. I felt that I needed to share this information, knowledge, and experience to my friends so that they could prevent my mistakes, but also I want to see them succeed in life. And that's the reason why when I started the Go and Partners Validator, I was quick in explaining the technology of Coreum to my closest friends, to my relatives and friends, to my professional network and contacts. And while I told it to hundreds, probably now over hundreds of people, I know that some of them would listen and would actually resonate with my messaging. And some of my friends told me, Albert, because you endorsed this to us, and I know that, Albert, your mission has always been about helping people, helping those that are in need. You want to end poverty, you want to end discrimination, violence, and you want to end hunger. And I believe that me placing my money in the blockchain is a testament of me believing in you, because you will be able to accomplish it. And I see my friends so happy that they entered the market several months ago when Coreum bottomed, and now it's been slowly rising up. I know this is no financial advice, but my knowledge and my experience, my reputation and my foundation, I'm putting on the line. And here I share, it's about me giving back to my friends, to those who are staking in the validator and believing in the mission, and also ultimately to give back to the communities that need it the most. Because when we see the society improving, we would see us all winning. And that's the lesson here. Third word is up. People ask me, Albert, you've already reached the pinnacle of your career. You've become a CEO, a founder, a co-founder in a business. Why do you always want to put yourself in so much risk and challenging positions you could have just enjoyed. If you believe in Coreum, just invest in it. In cryptocurrency, you'll make money, and that's it. Why did you have to start your validator? It's because I want to be challenged, and I believe that learning never stops. And in most cases in your career, you'd always move up, but there's always something more down the road. And in this season in my life, it's about giving back. It's about sharing all my knowledge to the young ones, to the people around me. And I believe that the Go and Partners Validator would be instrumental in helping Filipinos come back home and helping our loved ones be reunited with their families, in ending human trafficking, in ending discrimination. And I believe this is symbolic for me to do this at this juncture where I'm turning 40 years old. I believe this is the prime of my life. If you're down, there's no way to go but up. If you're up, it's lonely up there. That's why I invite you to join me in this mission. Let's do this together. So begin to be today what you want to become tomorrow. You will never know until you try. So a lot of people would always say, oh, I want to have my six-pack abs. I want to be healthy. I want to be a millionaire, a billionaire. I want to make so much money. But then they end up suffering from analysis paralysis. You will never know until you start. So let's say people would say, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these assets are scams. They're Ponzi schemes. If you are allowing yourself to be in that fearful state because that's what you read in the newspaper or the television or on Twitter, you can actually be victims of your own self-limiting mindset. But if you try, you may be able to learn, and that could help you one step closer to reaching your goal of becoming a millionaire. The same thing, if you want to say, I want to look this way, I want to have six-pack abs, you cannot do that in one day. If you see something that says you can build it in 30 days, almost impossible for it to happen. Why? It's because you need to go back to building your foundations. Do it every day. Do it consistently. And then in the end, you will see the results down the road. Don't focus on the results. Focus on building your foundations. That is my main takeaway here. And as we end, my foundations is 3 N's. Know first. Second, no excuses, and never giving up. That concludes our 7th episode, Building Your Core Foundations. Once again, thank you very much to those who listened and finished this episode. I hope you enjoyed the Go Show, your weekly dose of cryptocurrency using my stories for your investment. Now I'm excited to give you episode 8, What's Your Problem? See you there.